Hello, hola, and buenas, buenas. Greetings from the beautiful city of Los Angeles. Welcome back to La Cuna Mundialista, a podcast made with the love, and the podcast bringing you everything you need to know about the World Cup, both on and off the field, with Mexico, the U.S., and Canada being the host nations. They are under increased scrutiny for this tournament. So, who better to join us than Olympian and former Canadian World Cup striker LANG ROMERO and former U.S. men's national team defender and Olympian Marcelo Balboa, who will be here to give us an inside look into what these teams could be thinking, feeling, and how they might respond to the pressures and expectations of the tournament, who's best positioned to make a run, and what success looks like for each. Plus, we'll have more info about World Cup events coming your way. That's what we got for you guys and more coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Mundialista. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon. You can always find my written work at the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And since I'm here, of course, you know my co-host is here. His name is, well, he goes by many names, but he's known as El Yerno Guapo, El Gitano Perdido, but most importantly, El Papá de Natita. And here he is, once again with me, Ananda Kirana. What up? We are ever so closer, man.
Yeah, ever so closer, man. And I'm just excited to have this episode. This should be a really, really fun one. We've got guys, cuneros, listeners, everyone listening live, everyone listening on playback. We have two former World Cup participants. I mean, they more so than anyone knows the pressure and the all the scrutiny and what it feels like to actually step on the field, and also everything that's going on off the field. Like, we've got to remember there's so many things these players, these teams, these coaches, these organizations are facing. So, man, super excited, like I said, to kind of like get an in-depth look, get inside the mind a bit, and talk to these legends, man.
Yeah, no, it's great, man, because obviously you and I anyway, we both watch a lot of footy, right? But we'll never have that experience of being on the field and feeling that pressure, feeling the buildup, like imagining, you know, your country behind you. Like, will you let them down? Will you rise to the occasion? Like, what you're thinking, you know, as you're walking down the tunnel. We'll never get that experience, and these two have it, and so we're more than fortunate that they're here. Again, like, sometimes, like, I just kind of like hope and pray, and, you know, reach out to the people that have been nice to us before, and they're ever so gracious with their time, and so thank you ahead of time to them, and honestly, show them a lot of love when they're here, because they could be doing anything else in the world, and they decided to join us. But yeah, I mean, if you've decided to join us and it's your first time here, we want to thank you for giving us a shot during the World Cup coverage. I mean, there's tons of people out there doing World Cup coverage and, you know, previewing teams and stuff like that. So, you know, we hope that you do find something that you dig here on this show. And obviously, you're always welcome to dip into chat and join in the shenanigans. And if you see something you like, let us know. If you see something you don't like, suggest something else. Suggest, you know, like, hey, that's kind of whack sauce. This is better. But Anyway, if you did enjoy something, all we ask is that you hit that notification bell, you hit subscribe, and I'll just kind of let you sit with that a moment, give you a moment, and let you kind of click over. That's right, you're doing a good job. And there it is. There's a notification bell, and there's a subscribe, and thank you.
There's a like.
Yeah, and we love you for it. And Ananda will take a shot with you at a World Cup viewing party. And now that you've done that, that's going to alert you to all kinds of different stuff that we have coming to you during the World Cup. And obviously, more importantly, it's going to let you know about when we have amazing guests like Celo and Cara. You know, and you know, we kicked it off with the homie Evan from LA in a Minute, you know, bringing a unique perspective on that. You know, so if you haven't checked that out, definitely go ahead and check that out. That was a, you know, it did involve a lot of soccer talk, but honestly, it was a celebration of Los Angeles, and you know, we talked about how it's going to be the center of the soccer world. So anyway, check that one out, guys. Like I said, if it's your first time here, thank you. And now for you scallywags known as you cuneros, I know you are always popping off in chat, and I love you for it. Always making me chuckle. I get off of the show, and then I go tell the Minister of Finance, you know, all about your shenanigans, and then she's like, "That's nice, dear," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's just fun for me then, I guess." But I'm super glad that you're here, you're doing your thing. Our day ones, our dirties. Honestly, we could have dreamed that a couple years later we'd still be rocking here together, and started off with a beautiful thing with you know, La Cuna Galaxiana, and here we are with La Cuna Mundialista. We're rocking together, and thank you for being part of the 900 subscribers to the show. You guys know what to do. Put someone on. That's the best way to help this show. Ananda, let the people know about them super chats, baby. Let them know.
Yeah. Like you said, especially later, because it's really, I mean, who cares about what we have to say? If you guys want to ask either Cara or Celo when they come on, or any of us questions, I mean, guys, again, these are former players. We're going to get inside the mind, inside the locker room, sort of inside the psyche of what it feels like on the eves of the World Cup, right? It is a week away. Jesus. Literally a week away. So man, super exciting. First game's on the 11th, of course. And then you got a couple friendlies. I know Mexico's playing tonight, and then the US plays this weekend. So there's Ecuador and Spain. So yeah, just a lot of footy to get through, man. So super excited. Papa, let's get through the news, and then we'll bring on Cara and Celo here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, you guys already know. You guys can follow us on all the socials at La Cuna Galaxiana. Para mis ecuatorianos, esto va para ti. Look, I know a bunch of you are traveling, seeing the best generation of soccer stars con esa hermosa camiseta. And just to let you know where the banderazos are going down in Philly, it's going down at the Rocky Steps, guys, at 6 p.m. Obviously, Philly time. In Kansas City at the Liberty Memorial, 6 p.m. Kansas City time. And then, of course, you have Times Square in the Big Apple, New York, on 6/24, and that's going to be at 8 p.m. Guys, we hope to see you there. Again, I'm going to be boots on the ground. Hopefully, I see you there if you are, in fact, out there in supporting Ecuador for the banderazo. And USA is not far behind. They're throwing some parties as well. The night before party is going down in Chicago for the U.S. soccer celebration. That's going down at Fat Four Tapworks in Wicker Park. That's at 8 p.m. Jim Beam is throwing a block party, I guess, on the 6th. Tim Howard's going to be there. Moadu, DeMarcus Beasley, then Donovan. That one goes down at 10. Ananda, I heard the cutest story about a World Cup kid, a fan in Mexico, called South Africa's biggest fan, basically. Just, you know, South Africa's based in Pachuca, Mexico, and no one came out to see them except for this one kid. And so the South African team was nice enough and cool enough to line up to take pictures with them, and every single player took a picture with them, signed his jersey, also, gave him jersey and gave him, so that's for swag and stuff like that. But that's awesome, man. It's great to see that story, and great to see him support, doesn't necessarily have to fall into the, hey, all my friends like this team, so I'm going to like this team too. So good on him, man. In case you need a soundtrack to get down to, FIFA put out, and this is a banger of an album cover here. FIFA put out the official World Cup album, and it has 18 tracks. There's going to be that Shakira track on here, and a bunch of other bangers. And it seems like, any which way, by any means necessary, they're going to get their cheddar. So why not release an album? At least the people get some music out of it.
I see some if you know on this kind of thing that will date me for sure. You see that on the bottom right? I see some Shaggy.
Ooh, Shaggy. Oh, yeah. I'm about him. Right on. Okay. Well, from this album to the FIFA Power Rankings, this is going to be pretty cool, man, because this is the first time they're ever going to do this. It's going to launch at the FIFA World Cup 2026. Your boy, man, he's right there in the middle. Big Arson. Yeah.
I mean, he's he's a big FIFA. What's his position now? Chief of Development or something like that. But
Chief of Global Football Development.
Yeah, there you go. So tell me about these rankings. Tell Chad about these rankings.
All right, so this is going to be, like I said, the first time this has ever been done. According to FIFA, this is a groundbreaking data-driven player ranking system that's going to be featuring the top 100 performers after every match. The way they're going to do this, objective scores that will assess outfield players' performance across attacking, creativity, and defending. Goalkeepers obviously will be evaluated on different categories, and only two. Arsene Wenger's in this picture here because this was developed under his guidance. He said performance will no longer be judged by opinion alone. With the new FIFA Power Rankings, every player will be measured through objective match data across attacking, creativity, and defending, setting a new global standard for individual performance in football. All right. Well, I'm game. I'm game to see it pop off. It'll be interesting to see what our guests think about something like this, or some of these new things that are happening at the World Cup. We do have a super chat from the homie Biglio. He says, "Horchata, refresco, bebe, etc. Thank you for what you both do. Looking forward to the World Cup and having a community to celebrate it with." Yeah, man. Thank you for always being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We appreciate it, man. And here's to you, sir. Horchata to you.
Nice. In a super. By the way, speaking of the drinks, that just reminded me. Have you guys checked out the new McDonald's FIFA meal or something like that? And it reminds me, it's a throwback. They have these souvenir cups. I think there's 9 of them. And it's a throwback to, Papa? Those USA Olympic basketball cups that McDonald's had. I remember those when I was a kid. I tried to collect all of them. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but that's super cool. We might, I don't know. I might pull up a graphic or something. Those are super cool though.
Oh man, there's too much cool stuff going on. There's so many tie-ins. Mira, Ecuador, they're gonna be wearing a suit that's precioso. If I was a skinny man, I'd be like, oh, I gotta cop that suit. But obviously, I like my tacos too much. I like pupusas too much, and I definitely like my encebollado too much. But anyway, just the fashion that's coming out of the Ecuadorian designers is on par, man. And then, like I said, so much stuff is going on that I not only just the events, but different commercials and different content around the World Cup that you almost can't keep up with it. You can't keep up with it, and I'm getting major FOMO, man. But I feel like other people are going to have major FOMO because we have some pretty amazing guests tonight. I'm really happy that they're here to join us. It's like I was saying at the top of the show, guys. I mean, we watch a lot of footy. I mean, we understand the sport reasonably well, but there's absolutely nothing that we'll be able to bring to the table that these two can't. I mean, they've been on the field. They understand, not only the game, but with the pressure that comes with playing for your country. So without further ado, let me introduce our first guest for you. She is a Canadian Hall of Famer, an Olympian, two-time Canadian World Cup international, and is the youngest woman ever to be named to Canada's women's national team. Somehow, somebody saw fit to put us on a panel with such an illustrious soccer mind, and she's our colleague on Soccer in 60. I don't know how we swung that one, but
thanks, Gunner.
Thanks, Gunner.
Shout out, Gunner.
And you've seen her broadcasting work on CBS Sports Central LA and TSN. Welcome back to the show.
And I so hope she doesn't kill me for putting up this picture, but I just had to put retro stuff up here. That's so
such
awesome.
a G picture.
It's so awesome.
That's
it's
such
so
a G
awesome.
picture.
Anyways, what's up, Cara?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, not my favorite picture, but honestly, there aren't very many flattering action shots. It's like like none of them are great. So.
I mean, look at Cara getting stuck in right there, Papa. Like
I love it. I love like the focus and just no, it's a great photo, man. Like, this one's great. Now that you see that, did it get you fired up? I mean, like, we're a couple days away now. Scale of 1 to 10. What's the excitement level at?
10. I cannot believe how close it is. Like, we're talking next week, the World Cup starts. This is absolutely insane. And the fact that it's in our backyard, like, I mean, unfortunate, my kids aren't going to get to go to a match because the tickets are so expensive, but I'll be there covering it. And I think we'll still feel the energy with all the watch parties anyways.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're fortunate here in Los Angeles that there is a variety of different things going on, not just like from official watch parties, but to different like neighborhood bars and stuff like that. So we're going to have to catch your coverage a little bit later. Definitely break down where we're going to be and where we can find you. Let me go ahead and introduce our other special guest of the evening. He is a National Soccer Hall of Famer, 3-time FIFA World Cup U.S. men's national team veteran, the first American to reach 100 international caps, a 2-time U.S. Soccer Athlete of the Year, and obviously now one of the most recognizable voices in soccer broadcasting. You've seen his work on ESPN, Univision, Apple TV. Please welcome back to the show, una leyenda del fútbol de ese país, Marcelo Balboa. Thank you so much for being back with us, man.
Bienvenido, Celo.
Hello, gentlemen, how are you?
Doing so
well. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Doing well.
So good. All right. Well, I was just talking to Cara about, how excited she was. What about you, Celo? Are you ready for 6 weeks of soccer? Some days from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. at night. Are you ready for no sleep?
Listen, I get excited about a day out, day 2 out, too emotional to start thinking about. Too many injuries are happening right now. So I get excited when I know that I'm a night away from a game and the World Cup's getting ready to start. And then I'll get nervous on the 12th when the U.S. plays. So, getting too excited too early. I live in Denver. We don't have the World Cup here. There's nothing to be excited about.
Well, hopefully we do get you on these shores here in Los Angeles soon. And, we're able to bring you up for a taco or two. We definitely won't be able to have those tacos around SoFi because, everybody knows what like I said, the ticket prices are like. But, it's something that we were talking about at the top of the show is that, really you guys are just blessing us because you guys are bringing a perspective to this for the Cuneros out there that we can never bring. And that's that you guys have been on the field representing your country. You guys understand what it's like to wear that shirt, the expectation, the pressure, the happiness, the good moments, the bad moments, everything that leads up to this tournament. So I guess, without gilding a little too much, I guess my first question for both of you is, in the lead up to all this, there's players that obviously get the call from their coach, some players didn't, but some fortunate few did. And I've heard that some players, assimilate very quickly that they're going to the World Cup and they have to get locked in, and some are literally standing there hearing their national anthem and they're like, okay, yeah, it's the World Cup. Like they finally like it's like surreal, and it kind of like finally clicks. For you guys, when did it become real that you were going to a World Cup? Kara, you want to lead us off?
I think in the meeting with the manager when you were officially named to the squad, for me, that was when I was like, okay, let's go. It's time to start really visualizing myself on the pitch in each game. We know who we're going to be playing, and it started there from me. And it, I would hope that you're locked in before the anthem starts for a World Cup, especially a World Cup at home.
Yeah, for sure. Celo, what about you? Is it like Car said? I mean, you got to be locked in way before that.
No, you're locked in about a year out, only because you're fighting to make the team. So you don't have an opportunity to take a break. You don't have an opportunity to have a bad game. You don't have an opportunity to have a bad practice, because the year leading into a World Cup is the most important year of your life, because for me, I got hurt in 90, 8 months out, I made it back, but I was locked in with my rehab. And if you remember in 93, I tore my ACL. I came back in 6 months. So I think for most of us, between the earlier stages, because we didn't have a lot of club team at that time, you're mentally in about a year out. And by the time you get to the World Cup, listen, playing in a World Cup is a dream come true for any boy, any girl. That's just what we want. This is what we want as a profession. But to say you got to play a World Cup at home, you're locked in. There's no walking out in the field needing motivation. You walk out on the field, there's 90,000 Americans yelling at you. You don't want to let them down. You don't want to let your family down. Your mother, your father, your kids, everybody you know is watching. You're doing everything you can to try to build a sport in the 90s. So we didn't have an opportunity to take a minute off. We didn't have an opportunity to take a second off or take a practice off. So for us, we're locked in. We were locked in a year or two out because of the fact that we had to lay a foundation and that foundation was getting out of the group. That foundation was beating Colombia. But for back in the old days, you were locked in pretty damn tight. Nowadays it's different. You have so many club games and you've got so many FIFA windows, and you're playing 50. So you could be playing up to 20 to 30 games a year for your national team. That's a much different scenario than what we had.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned it. You were in front of friends and family. What does that feel like, guys, when you represent your country and it's your country that's hosting the World Cup? Celo, I mean, what was going through your head?
Don't F up. Let's be honest. We were the 4th ranked team in our group. Colombia got off. South America was the number 1 team in South America. They beat Argentina. They won the group. When you talk about Switzerland was one of the top 15, I believe 20 teams, and Romania with Haji, they had all these wonderful players. So walking out on that field in Detroit in the Pontiac Silverdome, nerves, because you can't do anything until the whistle blows.
You got the chills.
Yeah, man. It's just, you walk out there, you know where mom and dad are. You know what I mean? You know where your friends are. You walk out, everybody screaming, faces painted. And if you go back to 92, between 90 and 94, I mean, listen, they did a documentary or a series where they went to New York and they're interviewing people on the street. Who's Tony Meola? Wrestler. Tab Ramos, hockey player. Marcelo Balboa, I think a musician, because we had the mullets, and it was so no one knew anything about soccer. So the pressure we had was to, one, not embarrass ourselves, because in 90, getting beat by the Czechs 5-1, first World Cup, we thought we knew. We thought we knew what the World Cup was, because you watch it on TV, you see it, and back then we didn't have scouting reports. We had VHS tapes that people would send us. And they told us we would be bigger, stronger, and we'd be able to compete with the Czechs. Well, we walked out of the damn tunnel, and when we turned the corner, there were 11 guys over 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", standing waiting for us. And that's when reality hit us. That is really, we were like, oh crap, what do we get ourselves into? Gained our respect back against Italy, should have beat Austria, but the learning lesson of that World Cup is what helped us. That failure, we learned so much from that failure. So that fueled the fire for the next 4 years to be ready for the World Cup at home.
And Cara, does hosting a game of this or significance, does it create an advantage, or like Celo said, does it just bring pressure, or a little of both?
I think it's both, and it depends on the team. You know, in some ways, I would say Mexico is the host nation that has the best home field advantage of all the host countries. But I would also say that they have the most pressure because, as we all know, those Mexican fans will turn on you pretty quickly, and they know that. So
Absolutely.
I think there's a ton of pressure. As Canadians, you know, Canada hosted a Women's World Cup in 2015, and it was a very disappointing run for the Canadian women's team. Canada's men's team has never won a game in the World Cup. So, you know, the bar is kind of low, but the expectations are actually pretty high considering Canada's previous World Cup performances for the men's team. So, you know, I think the expectation for Canada is to make it out of their group because they have a favorable group as a host, and the Canadian fans are incredibly excited. You know, I'm not there, and it's kind of hard for me to be here and not be able to be amongst it right now because just the vibes are so good in Canada right now leading up to the tournament. And I wish that I could be a part of that. But so I think it's going to be a more positive environment for the Canadian team as hosts. But still the pressure is absolutely enormous.
Yeah,
you got
all
me
three
thinking,
of the host nation.
You got me thinking what a Canadian watch party is like. Like, you know, is there a Labatt, you know, and stuff like that, and
it's probably Molson. I feel like Molson.
Yeah.
Right on.
I was gonna say we'll get into that in a bit because I think what's interesting about this is the word pressure and what that means for each of these host nations. It's slightly different based off of the expectations, and I think that's something we want to investigate a little bit with both of you in a little bit. I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of finish off this kind of like more personal section about, you know, your guys' experiences there at the World Cup. You know, with this question, what's the night before like? Do you sleep? Do you eat? Can you eat? I mean, do some guys just shut down? Do some players just unwind by playing ping pong? Like, what is it like, Celo? What was it like for you guys the night before the '94 World Cup?
You don't want to know. We watched O.J. Simpson on TV until we fell asleep. That was if you remember. The day of, we watched that. We were up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. We were watching what's going on with the OJ thing. You know what I mean? So I think for us, it was probably a good distraction only because of training. Listen, no one in the history of national teams has ever lived together for a year and a half and trained like a club team. We played over, I think in 2.5 years, 3 years, we played over 50 something odd games as a national team because we didn't have club teams to go play for. So I think our situation was a little different. But the night before, I got to be honest, when I went to bed, I slept probably 4 or 5 hours and I was awake. I was ready to go. We were at a point where we were hungry. We were at a point where, for me, I just came back off an ACL. I didn't play the last game against Mexico in the Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. We beat Mexico 1-0. I was on the bench. And that night before the game, we did a motivational thing in Detroit. Bora put the whole team together. We walked out on the field. We all held hands, and Bora put a highlight video of all the players that made the team scoring goals, celebrating. And that night, Bora told me I was starting. So I slept awful. Absolutely awful.
Oh, no.
Because of the fact that, I mean, listen, I worked almost 7 months, 8 months to come back from an ACL meniscus tear. So when he told me that, man, I was in tears while leaving Detroit, the Pontiac Silverdome. When I got home, I crashed for probably 3-4 hours, but I was awake and I'm like, F yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? That's how ready we were ready to go.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's thanks for sharing that, because it must have been an interesting mix of emotions. You know, you're just super amped because you're about to represent your country in the World Cup.
Yeah.
B, all that hard work to come back from that injury, it pays off, and you get the news that you get to start. That is amazing. Cara, what about you? Like, what did you go through? Did you sleep like a baby, or were you a bundle of nerves as well?
The first match of my first World Cup, we played Germany. The World Cup was in the US. It was supposed to be in China, but it got moved to the US last minute because of SARS in 2003. And so we were playing in the US, and I just remember I was absolutely exhausted the day of the game because I did not sleep very well, because that was the most nervous I think in my career that I've ever been. That first game of that World Cup, and I had a horrible game. I was exhausted by halftime because I think I used so much energy on nerves that it like manifested as physical fatigue. And then luckily after that first experience, it was like done behind me. I've played in a World Cup match, and then we went on and we ended up actually making it all the way to the semifinals of that tournament. The next games in that tournament, I actually slept really well. I think I got all those nerves out in that first game. We were actually this close to making it to the final. We were leading in that semifinal match, and Sweden came back at the very end. So that was super disappointing, but it was definitely, at 50, I think I was 16 by then. At 16 years old, to have that experience, it served me for sure for the rest of my career. And but yeah, I think that the main thing as a team in preparation the night before, it is all about distractions. You just try to go about your night like you would any other night. For us, we would watch shows together as a team, in little groups. We all had our own little shows, and we would just do that just like we had every other night in the weeks leading up to the tournament. And you just try to keep everything as loose as you possibly can.
Yeah. Rob, you know what's interesting about that is like, so Cara explained how nervous she was, and she was a teenager. And this was, can you imagine, like, because teenagers now, like, we might talk about Gilberto Mora later. You talked about, Lamine Yamal a couple of years ago. Like, can you imagine the scrutiny now as a teenager, like going into the World Cup, and you as a human being, like Cara just explained how she was the night before as a teenager representing her country. It's wild, right? It's just the perspective, and that's just super interesting to think about.
Well, I don't know. I think these teenagers today, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I think Cara and Celo would know a little bit more than I would. But I think they're a little bit more insulated now. I think that they have the proper kind of like foundations around them at the club level to, like Lamine Yamal. I'm sure Barca takes care of him, right? I'm sure they look after his nutrition. They make sure that he's getting his proper schooling, make sure he's getting his proper sleep and stuff like that. So I think they're okay there. But
I think the biggest difference though is social media.
That's what I was referring to.
Social media.
That's what I was referring to.
Exactly. I think they have systems in place though to protect them in that way as well. Other people are running their social media, I would hope, because I just think the barrage of criticism would feel way too heavy for a teenager with that kind of spotlight.
You guys, when you guys played, there wasn't social media on that level. Can you well, there you answered it. I was gonna say, like, thoughts, feelings.
Listen, I coach at the academy. And I've had guys on my team, Darren Yappy and stuff like that. This modern day athlete, these kids, I think that's just oblivious to them. They just go out and play. I don't think, if you look at the kids that are playing in Europe or in South America, they've played enough big games already that representing their country in a World Cup is special to them. But those nerves, they're not nerves. I mean, tell me a player you see that's nervous out there. Does Yamil look nervous to you when he plays? No. Did Mbappe look nervous when he, what I'm saying? I think these kids are a little different. They don't think about it as much. They just play. They just enjoy. They play, and there's not much thought about what they do. Plus, there's a few older guys, the veterans, that kind of keep them in place. You know what I mean? But the modern athlete now is much different than the athlete was 10 years ago.
There's something also to be said about the fact that they're not, when you're representing your country, you're not doing it for money. when they're playing for their clubs, their livelihood is truly on the line. There's millions and millions of dollars on the line with these clubs. They've invested this money. When you put on your national team jersey, you're doing it for the love of your country, for your culture, for your people. So the motivation, I think, is totally different. And in some ways it's more pressure, but in other ways, you know, it's almost like a more pure form of pressure, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, what my pop
Absolutely.
always says, por el amor a la camiseta, for the love of the shirt, you know, it's for that pride. Speaking of the love of the shirt, let's talk about these national teams a little bit. Everybody knows that this is the first World Cup that's being held in 3 different countries as such. The US, Mexico, Canada, all hosting this tournament, and they all have kind of different conditions going into this tournament, different things that they are celebrating and dealing with in the lead up. So I'm going to ask you guys, this is our one word section. Let me know what you think. I'll ask each of you. First off, we'll go with Cara. Coach under the most pressure amongst the 3 coaches.
I'm going to go with Pochettino.
Celo, do you agree?
All 3. Because Javier Aguirre is gone after this World Cup. It's Rafa Marquez's team. So he has pressure to leave on a good note because this is his legacy. Pochettino has pressure, but Pochettino's gone right after the World Cup. I've already connected him with AC Milan. And Jesse Marsch, with everything he's been talking about and how the U.S. soccer did this and that, and he's coaching Canada. So in order for him to keep his job, I think he has to do well. He has to get out of the group. He has to do what everybody else has. So to say that one coach has pressure, all 3 have pressure. You know what I mean? The only one that doesn't have pressure is Rafa, because Rafa is the assistant coach, and Rafa is going to inherit this team. And he's been the assistant coach for over the last year and a half. So I would think more Pochettino and Jesse Marsch have pressure.
This one might be divisive. And I'll give it to chat as well. And because I've heard a lot of different opinions on this one. So chat, let us know. Celo, Cara, let us know. Best player among the 3 hosts. Celo, let's go with you first this time.
Man. Right now, you would have to think in big games, you want to see a Christian Pulisic out of the US. Yeah, I think he probably has the most pressure because of what he did at AC Milan. Was rated as one of the best players at the end of 2025. Struggled this year a little bit. So I would think that that Pulisic probably is the player to watch right now.
What about you, Cara?
I would say actually Weston McKennie if we're talking about the US team, but I think overall, if healthy, big asterisks, Alphonso Davies, because he is such a difference maker for the Canadian team, and because we most likely won't see him until later on in the tournament. So you will see what a difference he makes when he finally is healthy enough to play, if they can advance far enough for us to actually see him, because it's looking like it may not even be the last game of the group stage, maybe round of 32 if they make it that far. But I just think that he is such a dangerous threat, and he is the player that every team that plays Canada, whether they are certain he's playing or not, will be preparing to neutralize him.
Yeah, guy's not bad at the sport for sure. Yeah, he's going to be pivotal for Canada's chances. I actually thought that he was going to be back for the first match, so that's kind of below to me, and I'm not even Canadian, so that's terrible that he's going to be missing that time. Guys, first host eliminated. Let's go. Let's keep it with Cara first.
The US.
Oh, wow. Celo, do you agree?
Canada. Simple response. Listen, the advantage Mexico has, that team's been together for now almost 3 weeks at altitude. God knows we've played at Azteca. We know what it's like playing in the afternoon there. So the advantage they have already is huge. So to see them get eliminated at home would be very difficult. Alphonso Davies isn't going to be around. That's their best player. That's like us not having Christian, but we do have Christian. So I'll go with Canada.
Alrighty. Well, I
It's
don't
the
want
rival.
to have.
It's the U.S. Canada rivalry. It's gonna happen.
Never
you know?
gonna go away.
If I
Well,
would have
as-
said U.S. first, Carr would have said Canada. So we're good.
As neutral Ecuador, I say let's sign a peace accord at the moment, but let's go ahead and get this one out of the way here. Who's going to be the top scorer in out of the three?
Ooh.
Car?
That's hard. That's very. I would say Christian Pulisic,
Okay.
because
I'd
I'll
the
hope
say
so.
attacking
Flo.
line is not Canada's strength. So
Yeah,
it's
Wow.
going to be someone on the U.S. team.
Yeah. Do you agree, Chelo?
And
I'll go with Flo. Watching him play the other day
great
against
shout.
Senegal,
that's a good
the
one.
movement in the second half, how he was able to get in behind.
Yes.
A little different than Ricardo Pepe, who played a little bit more in front, which, by the way, did a fantastic job dropping into the pockets, turning, laying a ball, opening that lane for Christian. But when you talk about dangerous in goal, you talk about the guy who can split the two defenders, the guy that's always looking to get in behind. I will say out of this group, it's going to be Flo, or I think it could be Jimenez from Mexico.
See, my question with Raul Jimenez, he's played in 3 World Cups, never started in one, never scored in one, and all the weight for Mexico is on him. So, I think the expectations for him to find the back of the net are very high, especially after his, putting Mexico on his back in Nations League. But I don't know. I don't know. We haven't seen what he can do at the World Cup just yet. And I just think that pressure, it's him and only him for Mexico right now in my eyes. And that's a lot.
Man,
It's
you've got
interesting.
Santi, you got Mora who are coming in. So they've got a few different. Quinones is another guy who's coming in, who's playing well. So I think that's going to take a little bit of the pressure off, because before this group of younger kids that have come in, everything was on Jimenez. So now that pressure's been taken off him a little bit. So I think this could be an interesting World Cup for him, because he will be freed up a little bit more. Very good in the air. This is a team that's going to get down the wings, is going to get balls in the box. So this could be a little bit different for him, because he's not the focal point of the Mexican national team.
And for all you MLS fans out there, of course, Brian is going to be there, and of course Obed Vargas is going to be there. So that they have a couple young hungry players. But Carr did bring up that issue of scoring that potentially these young hungry Mexican players could alleviate a little bit. But what are the other biggest concerns for each team? Carr, you voiced one with Mexico. What's one for Canada? What's one for the US?
Well, I think the most obvious one for Canada is Alphonso Davies. But what's worrying me even more than Alphonso Davies, because the writing was pretty much on the wall that he wasn't going to be ready for the start of the tournament. But Moise Bombito, the center back, and his lack of recovery so far is really concerning to me. Against Uzbekistan, he came in, he was out after 30 minutes. The pace was back. He looked as fast as he ever has. So that was good, but he looked a step behind in terms of his timing. So I think his body's ready, but maybe his mind's not quite there yet, because he's been out for so long. And now it sounds like he's actually taken a step back, him coming out with a limp after 30 minutes. They were trying to downplay it. Now Jesse Marsch is saying that he actually felt a little bit of something, and so his recovery is going to take a bit longer than it was originally going to. And so I don't think that Canada is going to have him for the first match against Bosnia, and that to me is a big concern. And also losing Marcelo Flores as well. It's just there's the injury situation with Canada is a concern for sure. And Marcelo Flores tearing his ACL playing for Tigres, devastating for him individually as a player, weeks before the World Cup, but also for Canada, because they really could have used the flair in the midfield that he brings, that creativity, just a different profile of player that Canada really has ever had. And even though he's only ever played 2 matches for the Canadian national team, there was a lot of hope for what he could bring and the different look that he could provide. So that's disappointing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, when he does get healthy, if he
was
can
busting
provide
my
that.
chops about the U.S. being knocked out of the first round when You're missing Moise and Marcelo. Damn, Car. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything.
I was actually just thinking neutral Ecuador might have to reevaluate its position because that injury list is
Anybody else
righteous.
want to tell us about from Canada that may not play?
Yeah, no.
I mean, they've still got Jonathan David, Promise David, Tania Louache. There's still a lot of talent on this team, and it's not like without Alphonso Davies or even Moise Bombito, if he misses that first game, that it's like a huge drop down. I don't believe that, but these are players, these are stars of the team that they'll be missing. But at the same time, they're in a very favorable group. Like, I don't think that they can't win without these players. I'm thinking more later on down the road in the tournament. If they don't have them, it'll be a problem.
What about the U.S.? What's the biggest concern?
You never know.
Yeah. It's someone said the other day, it's the World Cup. Throw all the data, all the charts out the window. Right now is just about vibes, and whichever keeper gets hot.
Let's not even start with the data, because I see so much data. This guy's passing percentage is 95%. He's a center back. No kidding, really? He's going to pass the ball to the keeper, to the other center back. You know, I mean, some of the statistical things just. Don't even start me with that, because
that's why the World Cup is beautiful, because it's vibes time, right? So
listen, all it takes is one mistake, you get a red card. Now with VAR, one mistake, one bad tackle, next thing you know, you're down to 10 players. That changes your whole World Cup in the first. You know what I mean? So that's the beauty of it.
Cara, what's the biggest concern for the U.S.?
What is the biggest concern for the U.S.? I'd have to say the individual mistakes defensively, at least if we're talking about against Senegal, because Senegal didn't punish them for those in the way that they could have, but against better teams in the World Cup, they will be punished. But the good thing is that those aren't systemic problems. They're individual issues that I think those could be sorted, especially when the stakes are higher in a World Cup game. But I would say that that's probably it. Because I thought they looked pretty good against Senegal. I think, I think it was a good performance. And I think the fact, regardless of the result, the fact that the performance was positive is the most important thing. It felt like a statement win. They showed tactical progress. And most importantly, the vibes were high, especially with Pulisic, because Pochettino said so much of these 3 weeks were going to be about building Pulisic's confidence. And that's exactly what we saw there. So I think, that kind of getting that out of the way means that they're in a good place heading into the tournament. So I don't have a ton of concerns for the U.S.
What about you, Celo? Is there anything that stands out ahead of the tournament that kind of concerns you about the U.S. leading into it?
Concern was that they didn't really play a full team yet. They're 2 games away from a World Cup, and we don't know what a starting 11 is. I think we saw probably 80% of it. So that's a concern. Then you only played guys. You made 10 subs at halftime. I get it, the workload. But at what point do you put this team together and say, okay, so now you're going to go against Germany, and you're probably going to pay your starters. I'm hoping at least 60 to 65 minutes. Then you start making subs. But the biggest concern for the U.S. is who's going to be the goalkeeper. That's number one. We don't know 100%. I'm guessing it's going to be Freeze, since Pochettino decided to split the Senegal game. I'm not worried about individual mistakes against Senegal, only because you're making so many different changes and movements. We all know that the weakest part right now is that back 3, and especially if Richards is not in there, that's a different animal. The biggest problem is a few passes out of the back from Tim Ream got picked off, and they got counted on real quick in transition. So that concerned me. New 3 in the back, when there's, we've always been taught when you have 3 in the back, you force them around you, not through. And if you go back to the second goal, I believe it was where they got split right through the heart in the first half. The first goal, they got split right through the heart. And instead of Ream dropping back and pinching in with McKenzie, he stayed in his line. So that left a 10-yard gap for that ball to be filtered right through the back line. So little mistakes, little tactical adjustments in the back line. But besides that, listen, they played Paraguay. They beat Paraguay already. Paraguay will be a tough team. They'll drop back. They'll be very direct. I saw Australia play already. They're a 5-4-1. They defend very well, and they want you to commit numbers so they can hit you quickly on their counterattack.
Yeah.
So Turkey is a team that I saw play against Kosovo in the playoff game. I went to Kosovo to watch that game, and it is a very good team. Their rotations and the way they cover spaces and defend well. I would say the biggest issue is probably defensively now, to making sure we get a little bit more solid.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong on that Turkey team. That's another team that has a lot of talent, and that they're young, so they could be laying the foundation for something crazy. And then do you have a concern for Canada or Mexico? Well, Canada, I think, is obvious. You know, that injury bug. At this point, I'm ready to get that dual nationality Cara and suit up. I doubt they'll take me.
It's not that bad.
She's like, no, blood, you don't got to do that. No, please don't suit up. But what about for Mexico, Celo? Do they have any big worries going into this?
You know, when you look at this group, it's a solid group. You know, I mean, there's nothing really besides aging Jimenez. You know what I mean? If you want to put Santi up there with Mora, with Obed, you got Lira in the midfield. So it's a pretty solid group. Nothing special about it. There's no, you know what I mean? There's no Garcia Aspe. There's no Matador. There's not those kind of players. But this is a team that's been training together, that's playing together, that's been getting some decent results. They beat Australia. They've gotten some good results, you know, over the last month. But again, the advantage Mexico's always had, and they took it away from themselves, is when they stopped playing in Azteca, because all their players started leaving to go to Europe. They're not used to the altitude. Now they're back and they'll be used to the altitude. So this is a team that is solid, and they're going to take advantage of the altitude. They're going to be used to it. They're going to be ready to go. But when you look at this group, when you've got guys like Quiñones, you've got guys that are just playing well right now, it could be a difficult group for the other three, especially a South Africa. You know what I mean? The first game, having to play at that altitude, it could cost them a little bit.
100%.
So it sounds like, you know, they're kind of well equipped, which, you know, if they were to stumble, it would lead people to go like, hey, you know, they were at home. They, you know, they had a pretty balanced team. You know, how did this happen, right? So, let's talk about which of these teams, because we've already talked about which coach has the most pressure. Which of these teams has the most pressure? And I think, you know, they have pressure to varying degrees and in different ways, but I think each one has, you know, a different level of pressure. So I'd like to get your guys' opinion. For the U.S., guys, would you say that for them, since they have probably the golden generation, quote unquote, the most talented anyway on paper, is it quarterfinals or bust? Is anything less like considered a failure? Celo?
I'll be real honest with you. Listen, from the 90 World Cup until now, okay, all we've ever wanted is for soccer to grow in this country. Am I correct? We wanted to have the different culture. Correct. We wanted to have the vibe that it has in Europe and in South America. So now we've gone through 32 years from the last World Cup we've had at home. Okay. So why are we okay with just getting out of the group? That's not okay. That's not good enough anymore for the U.S. You know what I mean? Winning the second game, we've only done one time in our history. That's growth. Okay. But for this team and the players where they're playing, and the coach we've got, the expectations of this country is a quarterfinal. And I can tell you what, talking to the Mexicans, the Mexican fans, and the coworkers at TUDN, they feel the same way with Mexico. This is an opportunity to host a World Cup again. You're not going to get this favorable draw, because if they do win the group, their next game is at home. They get to play it in Mexico. So for those two countries, a quarterfinal. If not, I think it's a bust for Mexico. People will be upset. And I think in this country, we'll walk out of this World Cup. I don't like to say it's a failure, but we're looking to make an impact around the world. We're waiting for people to see what this U.S. team can do. And the expectations for everybody is a quarterfinal. So that's what we have. And if they don't reach it, then it's unfortunate, but I don't think we can keep calling this the golden generation.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I was going to ask Rob. So, Kara, I think it's interesting now from a Canadian perspective. What kind of run do you think would change the perception of Canadian soccer, like make that big of an impact? You heard it clear from Celo from a Mexico and US perspective, but what about for Canada?
I think a dominant performance in the group stage, a win in the round of 32, and making it to the round of 16 would be absolutely massive for soccer in Canada. Just to have that many games in a World Cup for Canadians to be able to watch their team in would be huge, because again, I said they've never won a game. They've only ever scored one goal in a World Cup. So, you know, and there's a chance here for them to even win this group. That's a real possibility to me. So that would be huge. That would change everything for soccer in the country. And, you know, you talk about growth, that would be it right there. Just Canadians getting to watch 5 games in a World Cup from their Canadian team. So, you know, I don't think anybody was expecting them to win.
I'm curious, Cara. I'm curious because I've got a few Canadian friends, and all they're saying is if we get out of the group, it's a successful World Cup because we've never gotten out of the group. And they're like, if we can get out of the group, whatever happens after that is a bonus for us. So
yeah, I think on paper, because that, you know, great. We did better than we did in the past. But Jesse Marsh has said this is the most talented team Canada has ever taken to a World Cup. And I think he's right. Canada has never had this many players playing in Europe, playing well in Europe, scoring goals in Europe. You know, Tajon Buchanan, the first Canadian player to ever score a hat trick in La Liga. Like these are major players on this team, and he's not injured. So that's a good thing. But, you know, so I think that there's a lot of, maybe it's not so much expectation, but a lot of hope, more hope for this Canadian team.
Right.
Yeah. Guys, you're both big players for your teams. If you could walk into the locker room 10 minutes before the game and speak to the captain of each side, you know, Celo, what would you tell you know, the US national team captain, and Cara, what would you tell the Canadian national team captain? Let's start with you, Cara.
I think I would just say the entire country is behind you, and just play like your life depends on it. And I don't think they need to hear that from me, though. You know, like I really believe that all of these teams, but I know more about, you know, I'm more closely connected to the Canadian team, and I just really get the feeling that it's a very positive environment, and these guys are ready to die for the red on their jersey.
That's what every Canadian wants to hear for damn sure. Celo, what about you? You got a minute.
I wouldn't say anything because I'd walk in the locker room, they'd think I'm the equipment manager or something. So, you know, so I don't even think they know who we are. So, no, I'm kidding. Here's the deal. I don't think you need to say anything. And here's why. Because Mexico, Canada, and the US are playing at home. They know the importance of playing in a World Cup at home. They'll never get that opportunity again. So when you walk out on that field, you're going to hear those fans screaming and yelling for that team. That stadium's going to be electric. You're going to get goosebumps. Your heart's going to start beating so fast that it'll go from an 80-something in the locker room to about 130, 140 when you step onto that field, okay? So what can I say to these players that are going to motivate them? Nothing. They know what it's like. They've played in a World Cup. They know that sensation of when the fan gets behind you. They can feel the vibes in the stadium. The only thing you would say to them is smile and enjoy the day. When you walk off that field today, make sure you've got nothing left in the tank. If you have something left in the tank, then you didn't represent your country the way you should have today. That's all you can say to these kids, because when you cross that line, you know, when you got that red Canada, red, white, and blue, or the red, white, and green, you know what it means to those fans. You know how they love and they breathe and they want to see their team succeed. So what can you say to them besides enjoy the day? Because this will never happen again after this World Cup. Enjoy it and give everything you have. That's it.
I love it.
heard it
Remember
here
what
from
it was
Coach
like to enjoy that footy, right?
Yeah.
Guys, there is it's interesting, right? Because we touched briefly on Mexico and like a couple of the younger kids that they have, and how they revitalized that team, and largely they seem to play like that, like they're just out there, and enjoying their footy, right? But it might feel tremendously real for them when, like you said, Celo, they come out and they're in front of 80,000 people at Azteca. Will the weight of expectation and trying to reach that fifth game or winning the fifth game, will that prove too much for these young kids? Celo?
No, I don't think so. Listen, most of these kids, Pulisic's played in Champions League. He's won Champions League. Juventus with Weston McKennie. They've all played such big games. What's going to get to them? They've already played in a World Cup. I can tell you from the 90 World Cup to 94, we weren't nervous walking on the field thinking, oh, crap, we're playing Switzerland or we're playing Colombia. We were ready to play. We've already played in big games. So you already get those nerves. It's almost just that little grin, wait, and just blow the whistle so we can go. You know what I mean? Kind of mentality. So I think when these kids walk out on the field, they're ready to go. I mean, you saw the other day, Weston McKennie sliding and tackling. That's what we want to see. That's the aggression. That's the mentality we want. And I think when you look at these players, they're ready to go. Everybody waits for this, men and women. This is the pinnacle. This is the thing we play for every year. When we go to qualifying, you see when teams don't qualify. I was in Kosovo and I saw these young men crying. I saw these 35-year-olds crying because they didn't make the World Cup. That's what it means to them. So when you walk out on that field, I can guarantee you may have a bad day. It's going to happen. Listen, your passing may be off. Your shooting may be off, but the one thing you can control is the effort you give. You can chase, you can run, you can kick, you can do everything else. Your passing may be off. Maybe you're off at the 60th minute. But like I said before, when you walk off that field, you got to walk off that field knowing that you didn't have anything left. That coach changed me because I had nothing left. If you walk off that field and you have if you have anything left in the tank, the coach knows it. The coach knows that you didn't give everything you had. Now you're jeopardizing your spot for the next game. So, like I said, I don't see any of the three host countries not ready, especially with the coaches they have. With Jesse, we know what kind of coach Jesse is. We know what kind of coach Pochettino is. He's going to wind you up. And God knows I've seen Aguirre. When he gets wound up, he bites into these guys. Listen, this is one thing you'll know. These three teams will be tactically and mentally ready to play when they step on the field in the first World Cup game.
And if we're talking about – oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Car. No, go ahead, Car.
I was just going to say, if we're talking about youth, if you're 17 years old like Mora and you're selected to a team to play in a World Cup in your home country, it's because Javier Aguirre knows that you can handle that kind of pressure. He's not bringing in a guy who he's not sure if he can handle it, or I don't know what to expect when the stakes are that high. A 17-year-old who's playing way, way beyond his years. I mean, he's ready for this moment. Yeah.
It's interesting because you kind of brought something up, the faith from the coach and stuff like that, knows these players. So, us on the outside looking in are going, can the 17-year-old handle it? And the coach is like, yeah, I know him better than you do. Yeah, they can definitely handle it. Celo, we had a super chat from our good friend G Cam. Thank you so much, G Cam. He says, Celo, best jersey swap. Awesome show, y'all. Earlier, he also had a question about your moisturizer and which one you use for your awesome hair. So anyway, but yeah, best jersey swap.
God, that's a tough one because I switched with Ruggetti, in one of the games we've played. And back then we didn't have names on the back. That was probably Stoichkov when he played for DC. I swapped the jersey with Stoichkov, which was pretty cool. I swapped jerseys with Hermosillo, so in Mexico. So, but I would say, since he was a player I looked up to, Ruggeri was probably my favorite jersey swap, just because, again, being an Argentine family, mom and dad, center back, that was probably the one jersey I've always wanted. I mean, I got David Beckham's down the road. I got Pele to sign my Brazil jersey, but Ruggeri was the guy that was probably the coolest one.
Yeah,
It's funny.
Probably next
I
to
imagine
if you had that one, huh?
And for people who are listening, Ruggeri was a center back for Argentina, one of the best center backs in the world. Won a World Cup, just in case.
We've got some historians in here though, for sure.
And we also do have some folks listen to the show that are on the younger side as well. So hopefully you learned some history today as well.
There you go.
But you told about Hermosillo, right? And immediately I imagined they exchanged jerseys after they got done fighting on the pitch, so it's because those games were a battle, right? So it's they end, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, we're cool now. Here's jerseys, So
the good old days that was just funny to me. Slide tackle somebody. The good old days where you can get the ball first and then go through the center forward. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, we saw that picture of Cara at the top of the show. I mean,
I remember those days.
Yeah, we know that other girl felt it, man.
That's a collision against box. That's a collision right there.
Yeah.
We went at it.
We have a super chat from eSuper1. Thank you so much as well.
Thank you so much, eSuper.
Yeah, no, guys,
Car,
thank you so much.
Swap?
Yeah. Good question.
The 2002 Under-19 World Cup. At that time, it was called the Under-19 World Cup, and then it was changed to the U20. I swapped with Marta after we beat them in the semifinal. Wow. And we were both the youngest players on the team at the time. I was 15, she was 16, I think, and she asked me for my jersey. So
that's really cool.
But that was her breakout tournament. Nobody knew who Marta was really at that point. So years down the road, I was like, yes. I'm so glad I got
I'm in awe of both y'all's jersey collections. I mean, you guys are sitting, we see the jerseys on the wall, and I'm just like, I need to up my game. I need to up my game for sure. Guys, let's go ahead and start winding this one down. I want to go ahead and get you guys out of here and have you enjoy your evening. But I do want to talk about the impact of the World Cup and the after effects, right? We've already talked about who's poised to make a run, if which team might be feeling the pressure or not feeling the pressure. But let's talk about what changes for your country if the unthinkable should happen and they actually do make a run, like say the US gets to the semifinal, right? Or Canada makes a run to the quarters and they lose 1-0 to Brazil or something like that. But just it's a gutsy match. What changes for these programs, for these teams, if success happens on the world stage? Cara, let's start with you.
I think, I'll start with Mexico because I think about them a lot and how much youth they have, especially in the midfield, and how much I love that they brought so much youth to this World Cup team, because they do have an opportunity here to make a deep run, and what it would mean for this program that has always had such high expectations and always been such a massive team on the world stage, but never really lived up to those expectations. But now they're going to have this core group of young players who potentially have made a deep run in a World Cup. Think about how that will affect this program 4 years from now. And they're veterans with World Cup experience. So I think that that's a huge aspect of it. When I look at it from the Canadian team, it's just, they have an opportunity to make history here by doing, in some ways very little, like we talked about. They just have to make it out of their group, and that's history made. But I think overall, they just have the potential of changing the belief system, I think, when it comes to soccer in my country, where it's that we're just not a soccer nation, regardless of the fact that soccer has completely outpaced hockey in terms of registrations, and that happened like a decade ago. Soccer is the main sport in that country, but nobody believes that Canadians can be world-class soccer players. And I think a deeper run in the tournament would change that narrative. And I'll let Marcelo handle the US team.
I'm going to handle North America. If any of these, if all three of these countries get out of the group, it's going to open people's eyes about CONCACAF. We get a lot of stick as it is for being CONCACAF. It's not very difficult to qualify. And we've heard all of these things between Canada, Costa Rica, US, Mexico. So I think by all three teams getting out and making a deep run will shut a lot of people's mouth talking about dealing with CONCACAF. And I do encourage these countries that keep ripping on us to come play in CONCACAF and qualifying and see how they do. When they have to go to Honduras, when they have to go to Costa Rica, when they have to go to El Salvador, you know what I mean? So I think that this could be a huge thing just opening people's eyes about CONCACAF. Number two, it'll do a huge thing for MLS. And that includes Canada and the US, because between Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, and all the US teams, it'll shine a huge light on what MLS is doing only in 30 years plus in this country with all the new facilities and the new stadiums. I think it'll open people's eyes a little bit more. It'll also open up the players' eyes who are thinking about at 27, 28 of possibly coming to the United States and playing in MLS because they see the facilities, the stadiums, the lifestyle they could have here. It would be huge. For the U.S., making another group and making a big run for us, I think will open and take this sport to the next level. We're already getting there. We're moving up little by little. But what I mean by that is the culture will change. Those young kids who are thinking about playing football, baseball, or soccer, they're going to pick soccer now. So I think it could do a huge, huge benefit for all of us if all these three teams can do something special in this World Cup.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just imagine the impact for these kids that are going to be running around in the backyard and, oh, look, I'm Alfonso Davies or I'm Christian Pulisic, or I'm Raul Jimenez, it's going to be massive for them.
Well, and then it gets more kids just playing out in the street, right? Because even for me as a kid, I grew up I played basketball outside, but soccer wasn't it's not what it's like in other countries, right? Where you just play 3-on-3 or 4v4 on the street or on the park. I think it's the grassroots effect that's going to be interesting as well. And hopefully that kind of ladders up into the organized, etc. But no, I love your point about CONCACAF as well, Celo. I think that's a huge one. I think looking at it in totality, that gets missed for sure.
I also think what's going to impact the grassroots aspect of it that people may be underestimating a little bit is just the fact that the games are going to be on our time zones and that the games will be on TV when the kids are home and awake. It's going to be on in the background. They can sit down at any point during the day and they're going to be able to catch an international match. And I think that's going to send those kids out into the street even more, that it's not like they're having to wake up at crazy times. And it's just going to become a part of all of our lives for 6 weeks. And that's probably what I'm most excited about.
Oh, it's going to be so awesome. I have seen some Europeans be disturbed about the times that they're gonna have to watch these games, and I'm like, don't you know we wake up at 4:30 watch Manchester United? Don't complain to me. Yeah, no, guys, I have two more for you, and thank you so much for your time and everything.
By the way, you said enjoy my evening. It's 11 o'clock here, my friend. What do you
No, I'm usually in bed by 9.
Yeah, honestly, when I'm not doing this show, I'm in bed at this hour too. So yeah, I think we're all on the same tip of sleepiness. But like I said, thank you guys very much for your time. Guys, go ahead and show these.
They're gonna be excited, super excited. We've talked about so many things. I think this is what's clear to me is this is gonna be exciting, guys. So buckle your seatbelts. This is gonna be super exciting.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Well,
let's hope.
Yeah. Well, let's get it exciting right now because Neutral Ecuador is about to start some shit. Sorry about it. That's just what I do. All right. I haven't seen the permutations or anything like that, but I do know that, if Mexico is runner-up, Canada is runner-up. Like they would face each other here in Los Angeles, so let's talk about if, I don't know what needs to happen to make this happen, but if the US and Canada were to play each other here on North American soil, who wins this one? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in this one, a lot of subplots and stuff like that, but who wins? Clinical star power with the US, or the scrappy underdogs playing with the chip on their shoulder? I think I know which way you guys are going to answer, but I'd like to hear the reasoning.
You really need that.
Yeah.
I will say the
Cara,
more likely situation is actually Canada, Mexico here in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on
which is basically a home game for Mexico,
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Why do we want to face each other and eliminate each other? You know what I'm saying? It's like
I'm also hoping that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And you know what we would say. Know what our answer would be if forced to answer that question.
Listen, in 2002, that was the last time we faced a CONCACAF team, right? We beat Mexico. It's great, but how many more times? You know what I mean? It's like, so let's hope they all win the group, and they all three go in different directions.
Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. For me, it's I would love a lot of the South American teams to make a run. Obviously, from families from South America, so Ecuador. But guys, I'll leave you with this one. And then please go ahead and tell us where we can find your coverage, where we can find you online and stuff like that. When this World Cup ends, what do you want people to say about your country? Cara?
I want them to say that they are elite footballers in Canada.
Yeah. Programs growing and stuff like that. Where can we find you? Where can we find your coverage? I know you're going to be out and about covering this tournament.
I will be covering every game at SoFi for CBS LA on Sports Central on the weekends too, doing a recap show of the overall tournament. And you can find me on Instagram at Cara Elise, Karaelise, and also on TikTok, but I think just under Cara Lang Romero. Those are probably the best places to find me.
Cara, thank you so much. And Celo, same for you. Where can we find you? What we're going to be up to for coverage, and when this World Cup ends, what do you want people to say about your country?
I want them to say that, man, it's amazing how much better they did than Mexico and Canada. How's that? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know what I want? I want people to realize how much we've grown in this country of being a football country. From North America, from Mexico to Canada, I want them to see the passion we have for this sport and how much money we've invested over the last 30 years of trying to build a league from here to Canada, competing against the Mexican teams. I want them to have a good experience. I want them to enjoy the culture. I want them to enjoy the sights. But I want the best is I want our three teams, when they think about it, I hope our three teams get out of the group, because that's going to do so much for the sport. It's going to turn little kids' eyes. It's going to turn little kids' heads, because in every stadium, be it in Canada, Mexico, and the U.S., there's going to be a 10-year-old that's going to watch that game, and he's going to say, crap, I want to do this. I want to be here. And in 8 years, I want to be playing in this World Cup for my country. And every World Cup, we get these great stories of a kid that was in the stadium with his dad watching the game, and 10 years later, he's representing his country. So I hope we get a lot of that, because that's what we need right now. And then on the other side, I'll be working for CBS and the Golazo channel in Stamford, Connecticut, covering all the games, doing morning footy. I'll be doing match day. We'll be doing watch-alongs for the U.S. games. So I will be in Stamford, Connecticut, working for CBS and Golazo.
Guys, you need to catch the coverage. Obviously, you guys were here. You guys listen to them both. They know ball. They know what they're talking about. They have the experiences. They have the knowledge. Let's see if they have the food knowledge. We do have a super chat from GCam, and he says not soccer related, but Cara, poutine or chili cheese fries. And Celo, what's your favorite Argentine dish? Guys, thank you once again for being here with us. GCam says thank you to our amazing guests, and again, top show. Celo, favorite Argentine dish?
Oh, you know what? Mom's cooking. How am I going to beat that? The choripans, milanesa. Where do you want me to go? I mean, it's whatever mom.
Me
and
dice
dad
hambre, hombre.
It's la parrilla ahí tranquilamente con mi mamá, la empanada. Estamos bien. Estamos bien.
Wow. Wow.
You got a guy with the tummy over here just like rumbling, man. That's not nice. Cara, what about you? The poutine or chili cheese fries?
I'm gonna have to say Poutine all day.
Oh,
but I am vegan.
How do you say that? How do you say that?
Poutine.
Poutine. Okay. Word. Look, learning soccer history, learning pronunciation.
Family.
Stop on the show and you guys will learn a bunch, you know?
And now I'm hungry. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here with us. We do appreciate it. Good luck with everything during the tournament. You guys again are always invited to the Carne Asada if you guys are out and about, you have some time. Celo, if you're here in LA, of course we'd love to take you to the tacos. And Cara, when you get free, we definitely need to take you for a beer because you're gonna be out there and hustling, man. So guys, have a beautiful night. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you soon.
Guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cuneros, we hope you enjoyed the discourse and just the a look into their experiences and their memories and stuff like that, because like I said, we'll never be able to bring you guys that, they're the view from the field, that what the players are thinking, experiencing, feeling. Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. invaluable talk with them, invaluable time with them. Thank you both to Celo and Cara for being here with us. And yeah, Ananda, I mean, there was honestly, like I usually ask you what'd you take away from that, but there was so much. There was so much, man.
There's too much. There's too much. I think what again, it's almost like with our conversation with Eben. It's when you have a good, because this is like very different. This is slightly different than what we do for our Galaxy content, where we react to a match or react to what we see on the field. These are deeper,
or get really mad about stuff,
or get mad about Vanny and all that stuff, right? And about like being in having a 17 game winless streak or whatever. But these are more in-depth, insightful conversations. This is like where it makes you feel something. Like it's not about necessarily the content. Like, so for example, like for me,
but I got the chills a couple times from them,
It's so clear to me like how passionate they are about wanting their countries to do well and what the impact of that will be to not only, the country, but just like how soccer is perceived in their country and perceptions and the conversations and things that will happen in the grassroots level. Again, it takes me back a little bit to when we interviewed or when we had the chance to talk to Landon Donovan and Kobe Jones this year, right? Papa at the Digs. And just the conversation around that was a different context, but like, what it would mean for the growth of this sport, especially in this country. We were talking about LA, but just in the country in general. So yeah, man, I can't even pick out one thing, but all I can say is chat, everyone listening on playback. We were in the presence of greatness tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You guys enjoyed all the like a slightly different conversation that's a little bit more in depth, a little bit more insightful. But again, we're just trying some things. And I thought this was again, I just kind of like shut up, like let the conversation flow. But I was just taking a back seat for a second and just listening, just absorbing. Right. So
yeah, man, they honestly, like you said, I mean, when you really stop to think about it, those two are Olympians. They've been in the World Cup. They've reached the pinnacle of their sport. I mean, damn, like I cannot say that I've reached the pinnacle of my journalism career. I cannot say that I've reached the pinnacle of this podcasting thing with you, man. Like, but these cats can. Like, I saw, I conquered, like they were there, they done it. And they were damn fine at it, and they were damn fine with us tonight, because honestly, like, we learned so much. And again, thank you to them. I mean, like, it was beautiful to have them here.
Yeah. Some good rivalry bands as well. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. But Ecuador's probably gonna beat both of them. So hey, I gotta start thumping my chest about Ecuador, man, because
I guess I gotta start pumping my chest about Spain too. Because why, Baba? Tell the people.
Because on Monday, June 8th. Y'all heard we're going to be pumping our chests a lot because we're going to be breaking down our focus teams, which is Ecuador and Spain, because we already did the U.S. tonight. So Ecuador and Spain, it's your turn on Monday. We're going to be breaking down the groups, key matchups, examine their chances of making the next round, all that. But of course, we're going to do it like Cuna style, like we always do. Hopefully, we're going to bring you, some special guests that you're going to love and enjoy. And then on Thursday, it's about to go down. On Thursday, the 11th, after the first games of the World Cup, it's a celebration of Ecuadorianness. And no, you don't have to be Ecuadorian to join us. Ananda's not Ecuadorian, but he's damn near Ecuadorian because he's damn near El Primo. He is El Primo, So I mean, he's got that Ecuadorian. But I mean, I think he's been Ecuador more times recently than I have actually. But anyway, you don't need to be Ecuadorian to join us. But Thursday, it's going down. We're going to be celebrating Ecuador and this golden generation that they have. We're going to be talking about Pacha. We're going to be talking about Incapia. We're going to be talking about all of them, man. And what the hopes and dreams. I mean, Thursday, if you're showing up to talk about tactics and all that stuff, I mean, it's not the show for you. It's gonna be vibes, man. It's gonna be good feeling. It's gonna be celebration. Shit, we might even have some music. I mean, we definitely gonna be sipping on something. I mean, shit, come and party because that's what the Ecuadorians that I'm gonna have with me are gonna be doing, and that's what I'm gonna be doing because just a couple of days later, Ecuador kicks off their first group match, and the expectations and the hopes and dreams of an entire nation are on that team. So, as one of the dark horses, there's a lot of pressure on that team, but Thursday ain't about that. Thursday is about having fun, a celebration of Ecuadorianness. Be here. We're going to be having a good time. Again, you don't have to be an Ecuadorian to enjoy what's going to be going down, but it'll be going down on the 11th. And again, Monday, the 8th, is the more tactical, this is what these teams are going to be facing and looking like.
Yeah,
kind
basically,
of
I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about like some of the weekend's action as well, because like I said, for the host countries, we're going to be talking about those games, what we saw. But really, guys, we're going to be talking about two really important facets of this World Cup: the favorites and the dark horses. And Spain and Ecuador are in both of those. So join us if you can. But like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's show. Again, the content's a little bit different, but hopefully you guys are enjoying it. And again, if you guys did enjoy it, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not yet. We are on our way to 900 subs, guys. So again, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the likes, actually, and comment too. I know we've got some questions in our description of the video, which I can't even remember right now because I am still like, man, that was an awesome.
In awe of those two.
I'm still reeling. Yeah, still reeling. Still
nightmare. I'm down for some fritada, dog.
Somebody said encebollado antes, bro.
Actually, funny you guys should mention Thursday. The title of that show is Encebollado in Love, if you know.
But in the comments we asked, which of the three host nations you think will go furthest in the tournament, and is it a failure if the USMNT does not reach the quarterfinals? You heard it really clear from Celo what his answer is. So let's hear yours, guys. So thanks for joining us. Love y'all.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and wind this one down. We usually close things off on the show with the hearty G's up, and this time I'm gonna let Ananda shout out La Furia because I'm definitely gonna shout out Ecuador at the end. So Ananda, do you got something to say about La Furia real quick?
I mean, we'll talk about it more on Monday, but all I can see is that team's damn good. That team's too damn good. I mean, when you're good, you don't need to speak much, is my philosophy. So
speak softly, carry a big stick, huh? Teddy Roosevelt style. Let's make it happen. We're gonna be talking about that on Monday. And again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing love to our guests. And we will see.
By the way, this is a good idea. 2 EO instead of G's up, papa. Ooh, I like that.
Hey, yeah. Well, I like it. All I'm gonna say is, vamos la tri. Soy ecuatoriano, sí, señor. And I think I'll sign this one off with tú y yo. Thanks, everyone.
Dale.